All right, guys, it's Jake with J&K Tackle, and today we're going to be working on Dana's custom Dodgers. He wants them to look just like Kokanee, at least the best that I can do, and we're going to give them a shot. Today we're going to be working on Moon Jelly Glow and see what we come up with. All right, so this will be started off with gray acrylic in the gun, ready to go. And we're going to do dots across this. I'm not going to do a white like I normally do on the entire surface of the Moon Jelly or in certain spots. We're just gonna go ahead and get down a base layer of dots, and we're gonna shoot for the middle. I'm gonna turn the pressure down quite a bit on this, and we're just gonna work the edges here and here, and I'm gonna put a nice white line down the middle for a pink streak. I want a lot more white on the bottom of this one because that's where the belly's gonna be. All right, now that that's dry, I'm gonna leave the white streak out of the center here for just for a little bit. I wanna do a silver dusting first over the rest of the Dodger, and then we'll come in with a little bit of white, detailed white to add the pink strip at the end so we don't end up losing all that pink. All right, we got our silver metallic loaded up, and we're gonna go ahead and do a dusting. Now let's go ahead and get this dry, and then we'll start working on the rest of it. The next up is gonna be detail white. We want it to be nice and bright. We got just a little bit in the gun here. Turn the pressure back down, and we're gonna go back over where we had used the white primer, and we're gonna kind of mark in a little bit of a fish head on here as well. So I'm gonna turn this one sideways, move this one out of the way, and we'll go ahead and start working on this one. All right, we'll let those dry and then we'll move on. So I know Dana up in Washington wanted to have some blue pearl along the top. And I know there's maybe an argument with some people who fish kokanee, they want to call them a greenback or they want to call them a blueback. I have a tendency to see a little bit more green in them that kind of fades into a blue. It depends on the sunlight. So we're going to do some of the blue across the top here lightly, and we'll make sure the pressure's down a little bit. But with pearls and metallics, you want to make sure your pressure's high enough that you can actually get the fluid through, because you're going to have little particles in there. As you can see, it's nice and shiny in there. So one way to do that is if you need to turn up your volume, then you can use the plunger and kind of control how much airflow you want to have going through. If you're not super confident with that, then I'd say just lower the pressure. If the stuff doesn't come out the way that you want it to, then increase your pressure and kind of go from there. I don't mind the spatters. You can see there's a little bit of spattering that comes down, but again, we're gonna put some more silver on this and it's gonna blend this out quite a bit. And you kind of want to have that for that blending effect. All right, we'll move on to the next color. All right, so with this one, we're gonna be using some pearl lime green. I added a little bit of reducer and I'm just mixing this up so it's nice and liquidy. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I don't want this to come out of the gun as spattery as the blue. I kind of want to come under the blue just a little bit and kind of fade down just a little bit on the top. That should give it that nice kokanee look with the pearl, and then we'll kind of come back over it with the silver. All right, now we're back to silver metallic. We'll start with the MK3, and this is gonna be a higher pressure. We're gonna get the rest of that green out of there. And we're just gonna blend this all together, and we'll kind of probably come back through and do the white one more time. Don't wanna lose those dots all the way, but we want them to kind of shine through the sun. All right, we'll let those dry. All right, now we're on to fluorescent pink. As I said before, I was gonna do a white streak, but I've thought against that. I think going against this silver will actually look pretty good. And with the dots being as faded as they are, which to me looks very kokanee, I think that pink will come across real nice. And this will be a good fluorescent pop for this. I might come across and hit this with a little bit of UV blue, just to kind of soften that dark blue up there a little bit. Give it a little bit more pop, but we'll start with the MK3. Run this just a little bit up into the neck. Blends a little bit better. These are both looking pretty close to done. All right, back to the metallic silver in the gun. I'm just gonna do this around the top here so that we can kind of get that blend fade of pink a little bit better. That doesn't look like a kokanee, I don't know what does. We are going to come in with some fluorescent blue. And I'm just gonna soften up the blue edges just a smidge. And that's all I wanna do. I just wanna have a little bit of UV blue on there to detail white. And we're just gonna whiten up those bellies. Last but not least, we're gonna hit this with just a little bit of pearl white. And that's just gonna go across the bottom. So not super UV on this one. We're really going for a likeness of a kokanee. And I think with the pearl and the dots being on the bottom, kokanee don't have super pronounced dots, kind of like a trout on a trout pattern. They are there, and sometimes they are brighter or darker than others. But for the most part, they're kind of superficial. So, I don't know. Thinking about doing something up here. We'll think about it for a second. All right, back in with some more silver metallic. We're gonna kind of clean that up a little bit. All right, we've already got our glow mixed up. All right, we'll hit that with some hot air. We'll put some eyeballs on it, see how it looks. I'm gonna go ahead and hit just a tiny bit of that pearl lime, just kind of around the head and across the back. I wanna kind of accentuate this just a little bit more than it already is. All right, so I went back across the top of this with a little bit more silver. I really wanted to kind of eliminate some of that I had just done. But anyways, here's the finished bit. I'm gonna go and get some eyeballs on these and we'll take a look at them. All right, so it just goes to show you, sometimes you have an idea and it doesn't quite work out. So I kind of painted over where I put those little plates in and then brought the pink back through, reheat it with a little bit of glow. And now we're gonna go ahead and put a good looking kokanee eye. Now, the original idea was to have black dots for eyes, but I'm not a big fan of sprayed on eyes, to be honest. I feel like this is a much better look. And you still get that target point for the fish because they're gonna wanna see that black. Let's put the same size eye on the MK3. Yeah, I think these came out looking pretty good. Hopefully Dana thinks the same. And we do have some glow, we do have some UV. The pink streak in the middle I think is gonna be a good attractant. I like how the dots along the side of the flank of the fish really show through very similarly to how they would in real life. MK3 is a little bit more subtle, but again, with this rotating in the water, I think that's gonna look pretty similar to a kokanee. So a little bit pinker than usual, a little bit bluer than usual, but obviously we're here to try to catch fish. We need to be pretty colorful. So tell me in the comments what you think. You like it? You don't like it? I'm gonna go ahead and put these on the UV coating and see what they look like.